Humans are not calm beings. Their history does not begin with arrival, but with movement. In early human history, movement was a biological necessity. To find food, water, and safe living spaces, humans had to wander. This movement was not an expression of freedom, but of survival. Yet with the advent of sedentism, not only the external way of life, but also the internal structure of human psyche changed. Settling brought protection, predictability, and order. It enabled possession, planning, social roles, and long-term bonds. At the same time, it created fear of loss, a drive for control, and fixed identities. Humans now knew where they were, and therefore who they had to be. With this fixation began an inner tension. Human consciousness is mobile, open, and reflexive. It experiences not only the world, but itself within the world. Here lies the fracture. While the body seeks safety, consciousness seeks expansion. Order stabilizes the nervous system, but simultaneously creates constriction. The structures meant to protect begin to confine. Humans feel trapped, not externally, but internally. Travel arises at this point not as luxury or romance, but as a psychic counter-movement. Those who travel leave not only a place, but a network of expectations, roles, and social definitions. In foreign surroundings, the self becomes less fixed. Identity temporarily opens. Travel liberates because it unsettles and expands consciousness. New environments force the brain to see, think, and feel differently. This destabilization promotes development, but also uncertainty. Hence, travel remains ambivalent. It promises freedom, but also produces fear. It dissolves bonds without establishing new ones permanently. Humans return because their nervous system needs stability, and set out again because consciousness cannot endure confinement. Travel and sedentism are therefore not opposites, but two poles of the same inner conflict. Humans need roots to hold themselves and movement to avoid stagnation. They do not travel despite being settled. They travel because they have become settled. In modern societies, this inner fracture is intensified. Traditional bonds, rituals, and communal structures have been largely dissolved. The individual becomes freer, but also more isolated. Identity becomes a constant task. Comparisons are ever present, possibilities limitless, belonging fragile. Staying becomes difficult, not because places are bad, but because they no longer carry depth. Travel appears as freedom, yet it often responds to an inner loss of grounding. Movement replaces attachment. The elsewhere is idealized because the here is depleted. In this context, nomadism is romanticized. It is seen as radical freedom, a detachment from systems. Psychologically, however, modern nomadism is often not liberation, but avoidance. As long as one moves, one does not have to commit. One remains open, yet untouchable. Historical nomads were not bondless. They had rhythms, social order, and responsibility for one another. The modern nomad, however, is often alone, flexible, economically dependent, and inwardly ungrounded. Movement prevents stagnation, but it also prevents rooting. Nomadism becomes an illusion when it replaces relationships with relocation. At the same time, the idea of home is misunderstood. Nationalism has bound home to territories, passports, and markers of belonging. Psychologically, however, home does not arise from borders, but from relief. A place becomes home when the nervous system no longer remains on high alert, when mere presence suffices, when identity does not need to be proven. Many feel homeless despite belonging formally, while others experience home in foreign lands. Home is not identity, but resonance, not possession, but relationship. Power structures exploit this dynamic. Mobility is staged as freedom, yet remains strictly regulated. Travel is allowed, but time-limited, economically constrained, politically empty. Humans may go to recover, not to change structures. Freedom is simulated while attachment erodes. The result is a restless society, constantly in motion, yet internally placeless. This is especially evident in cities and small towns. Cities promise openness, yet produce overstimulation and anonymity. Small towns offer proximity, yet can oppress through constriction and social control. No place is inherently sustaining. Only a place that allows time, repetition, tolerance for failure, and prioritizes relationship over evaluation can be truly sustaining. A place that protects without fixing. Such a place neither forces staying nor compels leaving. One stays not because one must, and one leaves not because one must flee. Nationalism forces staying. Nomadism idealizes leaving. Both fail the human. Humans need attachment without coercion, movement without flight, identity without fixation. Perhaps home is not a geographical point, but a state of being, a state in which going is voluntary and staying is possible. Not because everything is fulfilled, but because nothing is constantly threatened. Perhaps humans travel not because they are free, and stay not because they are unfree. Perhaps they seek something simpler and yet more difficult, a place, inner and outer, that can hold them while they change.